Fratello the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. Fratello the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast.
E benvenuti, welcome everyone. Ciao Mike, ciao everyone. Benvenuti in a new episode of Fratelli di Rugby Podcast. Tonight we're gonna talk about these beautiful semifinals. Usually semifinals are better than finals. First thing to say. And we are here for the Champions Cup, and of course we will be talking about Zebre and Benetton market, because new signing today for both teams. One was expected in a certain way, and the other one it's fresh new. So we're going to talk about that, a little bit of speculation time to understand better next year for these two teams, and the URC will be back. But for now, Mike, come stai?
Sì, bene. All good, my end, mate. Nice long weekend here. Same for you in Bulgaria?
Yes, until tomorrow, because tomorrow is St. George.
Nice.
So it's we're out today and tomorrow. So fantastic.
Nice. So you had an extra long weekend. Nice, perfect. Yes. So yeah, we had ours today, and man, just really nice. Really nice to see some really good rugby played as well. So bit of fun for us to talk about in this stream for sure.
It was fun as we were not, let's say, emotionally involved into these two games. We can feel for Capozzo, because it was the only Italian in the squad. On the other side, we have for Lyon in the final with Pagelo and Ioane. But for the Champions Cup, we decided to focus on these two games because we were fantastic, and also it's the first time that a team that is not Leinster or Toulouse in the last four the last one was Exeter Racing 92.
Yeah,
that was the game, and then there was always one of those. So it's really surprising the results we mentioned at the end of the last podcast. We were cheering for the underdogs in a certain way, because they were not like finalists every year, and also the way the end last year 59-3, something like that, Bordeaux Toulouse top 14 final. So there was a lot to say about that. But let's start with the English team against the Irish. And Mike, many teams we will say. Let's start with selection. Okay. So why Jordi Barrett brought in for this amount of time from January, let's say, didn't start this game. I don't get it actually.
No, me neither. But one of my friends did mention that potentially it was something to do with like a contractual regulation with the Irish Federation, where they have to have a certain amount of Irish players start. Right, and it would have been either Diamond or Barrett. If that is true, then for me it's insanity. Because realistically, they've probably paid top dollar for Barrett to play like 3.5 games. If you added all of his minutes together, I can't imagine it'd be more than like a few games played.
And and the other one, Mike, is I put Saints versus Leinster, Battle of the Lions, because somebody is already on the plane for Australia. We'll say then we're gonna wait the 8th, but there were a lot of fights for positions, players injured. Doris is the last one in the list. Let's talk about another one of the point to talk about this game is, of course, when you have Prendergast, what you get and what you leave on the ground.
Yeah.
How do you think about this young player? And is it the right choice or not to keep it all that time in the field and knowing how
For
not
me,
good is in defense.
yeah. Yeah, for me, it's the same discussion we've had with like George Ford for years, right? The fact that George Ford is an amazing game management, he's amazing at opening up opportunities for the people around him. Fantastic kicker. Obviously, like that. I feel like that comparison flatters Prendergast right now, as in obviously George Ford is an exceptional player, and to use those two as like parallels for each other, I think it's like is quite a mark of respect to how much I think Prendergast is and will be a great player. However, clear clear issues with his defense, and you can say that he's a young developing player, and he needs more time, needs to have experience at these levels, and he's only going to get better. But it's one of those, Otto, like it feels like he would have fit into the Quins winning team a few years back where defense was optional. Like, we just score more points than you. But unfortunately, that's not how Leinster play, and that's not how Ireland play either. So, yeah, some work to do for him, in my opinion. But what he did with the ball, like, let credit where credit's due. Some of those passes that he was throwing out, taking it to the line,
But
creating
even the passing try, that
unreal,
last assist, it's fantastic.
unreal, Otto. Yeah,
That's why it's a huge statement for a team that want to win, having a player that can be really targeted in defense, or
yeah,
also when he's open field is not gonna be his strength. On the other side, I mean, he knows where to play, where he has to practice, and not taking that fear off the shoulders. But kinda, Mike, because sometimes feels like it's not going properly, neither to try to go with a right tackle technique. That is for me the point.
yeah.
And that
To be honest with you,
surprised me sometimes.
yeah, like, surprising is a really good point, because like the Pollock try, for example,
Oof.
even if he pushed him, like I know it was tough for him to get there. Like, he closed off. If you're not gonna be able to put a shoulder in, just even an arms tackle, just get 1 foot into touch. That's all he needed to do, Otto.
Exactly.
That's it.
That try, Mike. The Pollock, of course, is showing up how good every game, even better, with that banter in him when he scored the try and everything. Fantastic. But that try is you usually don't see Leinster giving away try like that, because it's crazy how they left that space over. Let's say overlapping on the blind side, there were three standing up against. I think was one of or Langdon or Augustus on that side, and on the other one, Snyman had to try to cover with the player completely moving. That is not an Inaber defense, and it's not a Leinster defense. That really scared me. I said, "Oh, okay, what's happening here?" Also, that try, but outside you can score tries against Leinster if you go on the overlap in the last minute, but like that on the second players standing up,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
good.
I no, Otto. They played poorly. Like, let's call a duck a duck. Like, Leinster were poor, and that you have to obviously give kudos to Northampton, who frankly were like pretty good. Like, they were probably the best we've seen them play for like all season, and that's the mark of a good team. Like, they step up at the right time. Leinster comparatively were poor, and they made Northampton look very good. Realistically, there's decisions, and we'll come on to it, where had they gone the other way, would we even be saying Leinster played poorly? Frankly, yes. I think I'd still, if even had they won this game, right, and let's say, in the stuff we're going to discuss, it went their way, I would still say that this has been a pretty poor display of what we've seen of Leinster this season, right? Like, they're the same team that nilled Bath. They're the same team that nilled Quins. Like,
That's probably the most surprising, leaving so many tries away, and they were able to move the ball around and find those spaces, and they attack those spaces in a really like not naive way, but really confident in what they were, in the way they were playing. Even maybe not classic shape on shape that we can see with Saints playing, but also they puzzle up a little bit the defense, so it was harder for them to, because those wave of attack, they can be really well read by the Northampton. Sorry, by Leinster.
Yeah, I know. I got
So,
it in.
attacking in many, like semi-attack, like half attack, kind of like that helps more. The decision in the last minutes you mentioned, Mike, and of course we have to go there. Leinster score a try from a driving maul, but they were not that brilliant in the driving maul in general in this game, and they paid at the last occasion when they were almost in the red in the last minute, just crazy. But before those 75 minutes in, kick, and then again another situation in the last minute, and they go for the line out instead of 3 points, and then manage for the draw and extra.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of points, like you said, Otto, where we shouldn't be talking about Leinster losing this game maybe by like decisions, as in their own decision or like external factors, because really this is it's something that should have been in their control. I don't know how many times they entered the 22 and poor handling, poor decision making, like you said, maybe overconfidence, a little bit of like naivety attacking against Northampton, who held strong in defence. This game should have like been packed away, probably in that second half where it felt like tides had turned and they were getting lots of opportunities. They just weren't scoring. And again, credit to Northampton, but
to a crazy Northampton with 2 yellow cards in a key moment of the game too. That was crazy. Come on,
they were animals. But that let's talk about that final sort of point. I think what Northampton saw was, those interesting sort of tap plays that they were doing. They just saw, oh well, they've just split into sort of 2 or 3 separate pods. If we overload where we think the ball's going to be, we're going to get it back. Love that. They went all in. That was just 100%.
Yeah, that was the last one.
They just went, and they went all in on that. I like that. They were like, well, we win or lose on this, Ruck, and that's how Leinster should have thought. They should have thought we need this ball, but they didn't respect the possession, and the ball was taken away. A couple minutes earlier, let's talk about that decision. I don't know. This is discussion internal. I don't know what was seen. Obviously, for me, it could have gone either way, and that's all that's all I'm going to say on it. Like, for me, if it wasn't cool, I had no idea.
If that was, and also there's the situation, the same situation in 5 meters, like halfway. Simone was saying that in our chat. In the middle of the field was seen, not with all that review, maybe too.
But we move anyway, and like I said, should never have come to that for Leinster and Leinster fans, in my opinion.
Anyway, Mike, we spoke about Freeman. We want to see Freeman starting maybe for the Lions, and he showed up great class, scoring in that way, solid against James Lowe and everything. It's hard, so really well done, James Lowe. Fantastic, and by the way, because you have to think how good he is every time. It's really hard to read sometimes. So those two really well. Finn Smith is going. The Smiths are going.
Was it the first try with the kick to Freeman? Like that line that he reads in midfield, beautiful. Like beautiful timing. Like just knew exactly what he wanted to do, and then like that lovely little soft touch, like what a try! I was gobsmacked, like when he scored that try, I was like, "Jeez."
Michael, with all these injuries, you think Fraser Dingwall will be added to the international campaign of the Lions? The glue, Bortwick said, the glue.
I think it would give a disservice to like centres who have played a lot better over the course of the season. And I'm not saying Fraser Dingwall hasn't played well, because he's an exceptional player. But then you just look at like Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones as a partnership, as an example, and it's probably going to be either Finn Russell or Finn Smith starting. And for me, I think it's still going to be Finn Russell.
Correct. Both injured, right?
Finn Russell?
No, the centers. Talking about centers.
Tuipulotu he's meant to be back this week, I think. I saw that they were reporting that he's training again. Otto, if he's not back, then he's not going to play. But if he's fit, even if he hasn't played a minute, I'm taking him on that plane. Just he's like, let's call a duck. He's brilliant, and that is even a poor Tuipulotu is still better than the vast majority of the centres in the Northern Hemisphere, in my opinion.
Statement. Makes sense. Totally sense. Mike, let's go on the other game, because this was another crazy game with a French touch. A lot of was a party in Bordeaux.
This didn't feel like a semi-final, did it? It didn't feel like there was the anticipation, there was the build-up, but for me, and maybe it's just me thinking back, I always think cagey affairs, like nerves, like take the points, and like just like tournament rugby where
was too early summer, I think,
right. And for me, like, it just didn't feel like that. What a mental game. Who, in fairness, a few people were saying Bordeaux could do it, and there's I think it was on I think it was Ben Kayser who was like, I've got a feeling. He just had a feeling that he thought like Bordeaux were going to win, because it's third time this season that they've beaten them now, right? Home and away during the league.
During the league, I will check again. I don't honestly remember. Clever for me how dominating was Toulouse in the game, in the final of the top 14. That was crazy, shocking. For me, because I was expecting much more fight and everything, but now the team is experienced, not at all. Still good player. They seems better. They get better. If I see the team last year and this year, of course, everybody said Kinghorn is not there, Ramos is not there, Dupont is not there, but until now we also said that with this team, with these players,
shouldn't matter, should it?
Exactly. That's probably we can argue about probably. Come on, probably Dupont, the only one. But then if you put Juan Cruz Maria, anyway, it's a good. You have Tamak, you don't have Ramos, okay. But I mean, the team was really, really good in the field. But they can fight. They actually Bordeaux fought back really well, and I was expecting a second half where Toulouse was going to start marching hard, but I was shocked there too when they scored with the first possession on the second half.
That's the same. That's exactly the same thought process I had with Leinster. And actually, a couple of my friends were like, "Oh, what do you think the score was going to be?" I'm like, "Oh, Leinster bench is too strong. I reckon it's probably going to be Leinster by 6 at the end." Right? That's what I thought. And like to strike
you
first,
could be under pressure also in the finals. Right. The same players. So that for me was okay. They can win in the last minute, no matter what, but they will win. But when they scored, I said, "No, okay, now they can manage." Honestly, they can manage this game. And Pete Samu was fantastic, Mike. Pete Samu.
Yeah. Listen, I think like there's so many players that stepped up. We were talking about teams that can step up. Obviously, when you've got players like literally like generational talents who can also step up, it makes such a difference in the team. Because, you know, we talk about Benetton, just to sort of bring it back to Italian rugby, where a lot of the time something happens from one of those big players, they find a moment and stuff.
Exactly.
Having those star players that can step up and like really, you know, punish teams like for small mistakes, and that's a mark of a test player. And it just goes to show, first of all, like how good the top 14 is at the moment. And I have a bit of a question to you now. Which of the two finals that we watched, which team's going to go in fresher next week, in your opinion? Is it Northampton, or do you think Bordeaux are going to be slightly fresher? Because it was a war of attrition by the end of it for both finals, right?
Especially Bordeaux, they look much more tired at the end.
Yeah,
of the game, right.
It looked like they got beaten up by the end of it, but then obviously they played Toulouse. So
look, probably they are much more used to Bordeaux for how tough is the season,
league. Yeah.
the league. Yes, I'm not saying that the Premiership is not good, but it's you can manage honestly much more better what's happening,
because the standard goes down with some of the teams. I understand what you're saying. I think it's really important point. Really important point.
So for that, but hey, it is gonna be so much fun to watch this game, because there are two games they loves to attack. They have great kickers. They have game management. It's so good if we think Luku and Mitchell, like two great nines. You have power and a young player, talented player. You have Gazzotti. He did something stupid last game, okay, but still it's one of the best prospect in France. And you have Pollock on the other side.
You got Tamifuna just coming off the bench.
Fantastic.
On the bench.
He was tired in the moment.
That team is disgusting as well. Oh man. Like the fact that he would start in almost any team. Just, oh good, he's coming on, is he?
Fantastic. Come on, but really, really good. I don't know what happened to Penaud when he got off for injury.
Yeah, he hobbled off, didn't he? I didn't see it. I didn't see what happened. I don't know. The fact that he walked off and he wasn't stretched off, though.
And then Mike, you honestly, you have a really wish to support Northampton, because Fischetti will be there next year.
Yeah,
if you have to say Northampton, but everything can happen, because also the discipline, of course, is gonna be important to understand if they're gonna be that undisciplined, the Saints in this case.
Well, this is what I was trying to work out. Obviously, we know that, like in boxing and stuff, styles make matches, but also it works in rugby as well. Like sometimes if it's two completely contrasting types of like styles, and sometimes it's a slightly more boring game if they're both out and out attacks. You know what I mean here. I wonder if Northampton are going to go for a slightly more traditional final test tournament rugby that I anticipated they were going to play in this game, and they didn't.
The round of the 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points.
Right. But then also, part of me thinks actually, if we're going into a kicking battle, Fid Smith missed a few. Like, was that something which is symptomatic of like that pressure for the big game? Is it something that potentially we won't see Jalibert obviously have? Like, these are the sort of questions that come into my head. So, question to you now: what sort of game are you expecting next week? In terms of next week in the final, what game in the next round are you expecting? If let's say everyone is relatively fit, like knowing what we know now, basically.
Like for the final, what kind of final? Man, for the final, Bordeaux.
It's gonna be cagey.
Sorry?
You think it's gonna be cagey, like like nervous and like?
No, they're gonna move. They have to move the ball. Bordeaux. Bordeaux has to move the ball probably even more because they want to put in those 1-versus-1 Biel Barry. They want to isolate
Exceptional, by the way.
Pinot. Come on, they want to have those situation. Maybe some high ball on the opposite side with Peno jumping. That can be also something they can try. They trust a lot in also in Bureaus in the 15. That can be another weapon to counter-attacking, moving the ball fast out. On the other side, I see a lot. They're really solid in the centers. Hutchinson and Dingwall in this moment.
Freeman as well
I
in the air.
so there are those fights there, and also when you get Petty and all these guys in the back row in the locks, maybe they have something more in the lock talking about experience, Bordeaux, than the Saints. But this can be a game can go literally each side can win, can be tight, can be totally open mic for me. I don't see a team that can easily win. I say no. I'm not gonna bet on one of those two teams. I don't feel like it's so the result is so easy.
Yeah. They're much closer than we thought. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Question to you again, Otto. Like one player that surprised you the most out of both games. It doesn't have to be the Bordeaux game. It doesn't have to be. Which player surprised you the most, and then which player surprised you the most negatively, if that makes sense. As in, like one you were sort of unpleasantly surprised, and one you were happily surprised.
Unpleasantly surprised. I was expecting a couple of moments, Tamak moments more in this game. We have seen him being quiet for the full game sometimes, and then 2 actions and you win the trophy with it.
Yeah.
So that probably I missed the most. Another player that surprised me, man, I like him. Is Juan Augustus, the number 8 that is going to Ulster next season, which is crazy.
Also rebuilding though, aren't they? Like they need it, but mate, he's a workhorse. He's such a busy player. Like, again,
and he didn't play the way he usually play for me this game. He was much more into the role. So that probably was really, really good for me. It really surprised me.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's hard to argue. One thing for me, and in terms of the pleasant surpriseness, obviously we've seen Freeman in the in the Six Nations. We saw what he can do. He looks like he's better than he was in the Six Nations. So in terms of pleasant surprise, in terms of
look fresher, Mike.
Yeah, just well rested, but like also that how he carried from that 20 the counter attack in the 22, and he was just angry, just like handing off everyone. Manages to get to halfway, blitzes past low. Man, like there's bits to his game where I'm like, he's going to be a handful, and he's going to be on the same wing as LBB, right? That's going to be a battle. Well, I can't wait to see that. So for me, pleasant surprise. I'm happy to see Freeman. Like he still looks better. He looks like he's getting better and better, which is cool. And then I'm not to kick people when they're down because we have it all the time. I was just unfortunately not that sort of impressed by like Henshaw. I thought he was someone who's normally such a solid player, and I think a lot of they were targeting him. Maybe it's because he had more to do with Prendergast. Maybe I'm being unfair, but defensively, I didn't think he was up to his normal scratch, and I think unfortunately that contributed a little bit to the result. But that's just my opinion.
On the other side, Osborne, the younger, the winger was really
Such a
good.
good game. Yeah, such a good game.
He looked
Such a
so
good game.
angry every time I saw him. Since the first game I saw him playing for Leinster, he's always angry in that way. Yes, I love you. Nice, fantastic in that way. But
Yeah.
let's see. Mike, let's move on to market, because today there was the announcement from Treviso for a player that played for Perpignan. It's currently in Perpignan. Brive Faso. Sotalo Faso.
Be honest. Be honest.
Suti.
Did you expect anything like this?
See. I think we chat time ago, but a big number 8 is always
Yeah.
been loved in Treviso.
But did you expect him as that man?
Man, I was mentioning Abraham Papali.
Yes, you were. Yeah.
So it's that kind of number 8. Huge, big
Yeah, that's
number
fair.
8.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But think
And I'll
back in the day, Mike. Alafi, Italian, New Zealand, Tongan, whatever. Henry Stowers they got 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
Samoan. Faso now and Nasi Manu before, years ago. So they always love the Islander player at number 8 at Treviso. Then we had some good player that they picked that role, but there always been one.
Do you think, and where does this put the rest of the team, do you think? So do you think the rumours of Cannone Jr. Might mean that he's either going to go abroad and like that opens up space? Because obviously I can't imagine this being a cheap investment for Benetton, which means that I'm guessing that funds are probably going to go from somewhere else, right? If that makes sense.
Probably for me, the name that is out, if I have to think, maybe can be Toa Alafi, because his contract is ending at the end of the season, and maybe he can find some other kind of contract. There was some rumors time ago about him in Japan that Lupo mentioned in our chat again. So maybe Alafi going there, we are in a situation where Lorenzo Cannone, Faaso, Coroiadi, and Favretto, they will be the 4 number 8. This season, Favretto played there, but also Lamaro played there. So I don't think they want to reach that moment, because for now, Faso is injury free. He played 1,000 minutes this season for Perpignan. Maybe he's been mentioned by Ceccarelli or Allan to Treviso. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think one thing that we may see is also Cannone Jr. maybe playing like a 6 role as well. Like Negri's obviously come back from injury. Hopefully, obviously, he's back at it soon.
He should be.
Yeah, it's more like how much rugby that man has played, like, and how attritional his game is. Like he plays a lot, and he plays this very like attritional, like warrior way, but like he's too important not to have. So it'd be interesting to see if Cannone will ever sort of step into that role as well, in my opinion, because he'd do a fantastic job there as well.
So I was looking on the Opta website where they put the stats. They've been updated the 22nd of April last time, but Faso at the moment they can be reviewed now. He's had 800 minutes on the Opta, but he had 51% of dominant carry. So I went 51%. To pick 51%. One out of
and how many? I'd love to know how many pick and goes as well.
Carries he had this season. Okay.
Well, we were asking for front foot ball, I thought.
This is one, because then I went, okay, who's the second one in the list? The second one is Alafi with 42.7% of dominant carry. And then there is Favretto, Zuliani, and Cannone is after Izegor too, and only lower than Cannone there is only Lamaro with 25.9. Then there's Cannone 29.
Different players though, aren't they? Like in terms of like, if you create a line break, it's no longer dominant carry, is it? Like it's post contact meters, which.
And another thing, Mike, is that the gain line percentage of his carries of Faso is 61 1.7, better than Cannone Alafi, Lamaro, Favretto, Giuliani, Rizekor. The second one is Cannone, Lorenzo, and the third one is Giuliani, followed up by Lafi. So you have a player that does of the carries, dominant and the gain line, what you're expecting, and the same level also of the committing two players into tackle when he carry the ball. 63%, 64% is Cannone Alafi. So pretty
Where's
close.
Big Seb in all this? Just so I can message him later. Where's Big Seb in all? Because he will like tie up defenders, right? We know what like how important he is to like exit strategies and all that jazz. Like I'm interested to see.
So you have a big guy that, and also it's not his first experience in Europe, because sometimes also that one is the thing. The first time moving to Europe, you need to settle up a little bit. I know it's Italy, a little bit different from France, but come on, you know how you're gonna live in a little nice town as Treviso.
Yeah.
You will enjoy. And has a 2+1 year contract, so that's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was announced last week, but Zambo to Exeter as well. Did we mention that last week?
Zambo to Exeter, was the rumor, and then was mentioned, and now Ruffolo to Zebre, which is gonna be the next Zambo.
Mini Zambo, that's his name.
Zambuffolo, and or Ruffolin. But anyway, what is interesting, Mike is from Calabria. So
nice. With that sort of surname, to be fair.
Like Jon Snow goes there, right? The wall is all around like Calabria.
I wonder how long until there's like memes of mozzarella di Ruffolo. There's going to be, you're going to, in fact, I know you're going to be the one that makes them as well. The meme.
We will. So another lock, and now there are a lot of rumors talking about some players in and out. The last rumors were Mirko Belloni, one of the best prospects for Italy. He's been mentioned as potential MVP player of the season this year with Roger Farias and Matteo Minnozzi. There is Mirko Belloni. He won the Coppa Italia with the Rovigo, and it seems like he will move to Zebre next season, adding another utility back there. Dewey Passerella, for what Rovigo News said, will move to Rovigo with the brother of Belloni, Luca, and Scalabrin seems to go to Padova next season, to Petrarca. So a couple of moves, young player, but more important for me at the moment are to understand Bertaccini, where he's going, if he's gonna stay at Zebre or if he's gonna be the new sensation for Treviso. Who knows at the moment? And all the Mogliano players, Mike. Cristiano Tizzano, Gasperini, Aminu, etc. If they're gonna find more space with McRae.
I think it's a good time to be, an Italian qualified scrum half with everything that's going on. Obviously, we were talking in the chat about the different permutations. If someone's been injured, which I think Yurin, unfortunately, it's been confirmed that he's fractured. Right, so how much game time these players and these young prospects will get there, and then obviously Zebre, frankly, have had a whole season where, in my opinion, they've been slightly under-equipped at scrum half. Obviously, if an injury happens, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. So, you need to feed. And Brunello, like what we know of Brunello, he's such a calculated coach, right? He'll want to have like those plan Bs, plan Cs, and those provisions in place. So I'm hoping, Otto, the next news we hear from Zebre and the next news we hear from Benetton are going to both be scrum half related. That's just my hope, right? And the selfish part of me hopes that they're both Italian qualified, because we need more. We need a lot more.
Answering Josh, wow, because you never know what's gonna happen. That's the point. And Josh, for me, is only that you never know. I'm happy if he's gonna stay at Zebre, because of course he already started, let's say, a process through Zebre. He knows already the coach and everything, so of course it's the natural way that things should be. But you know that sometimes when we talk about Italian rugby, it's not the easiest way to go for some players.
And also, you forgot to mention Marin and all that, Josh. So yeah.
Oh my god, Marin,
Number 12.
and then Yakitsi. The strongest mention is that Yakitsi is out now. I'm wondering what is gonna happen with him, and how many players will
He's going to be
change.
a really unfortunate player for Benetton to do, because I'm obviously great for Zebre. Like, I actually really, really rate him as a player. I think he's really good in line out. Obviously, how many turnovers did we see him do? He's quite a tough player. I think Zebre, could use him. I just hope that if he stays at Benetton, he gets game time, because he's brilliant.
He should. I prefer him than Kogellenberg, if I have to say. I want some kind of player like them. But let's see also the other ones. Because Mike, something can happen still with the prospect, the better prospect we have. Some players out, I don't know if they will find space right away in lower division in France, talking about the player coming off the Espoirs, all those Mattioli Turrisi, right? Just to say, an Ortombina. Because now he's in France, okay, maybe he wants to play more, maybe he's gonna have space somewhere else. Let's see. I also
back to May as well. All those that currently loads of, but I've got a question for you quickly on these players that we're talking about, like ones that would benefit, the ones that we should have in rotation, the ones that should be looking at national team in the next sort of two seasons or so. Players like Destiny Aminu, surely he's on Zebre's radar, right? As a development franchise, like,
but he's been on that side, yes, of course, should be the right decision.
Profile of player. Yeah.
But if you think, I honestly don't remember how long is Chaparro's
he's injured
contract.
Oh, sorry, you're right. He's come back from injury, but
if you think Gallo Nemer and Aminu should be the third one there.
And what's happening with Genovese now that he's gone?
Mike,
fallen off the face of the earth.
What is with Genovese? Is alone? What is the situation with Genovese?
I don't know. Like, it's again a shame, because he was such a talented under-20s player, and it's one of those where I feel like we're unfortunately not the best progressing their careers. So lessons learned of what?
Let's see, Riccardo Genovese, nuovo 2002, fantastic, still 2002.
Whilst Otto's looking for this, if you guys are interested in what pizzas he likes, have a look at one of our other videos where we where we actually have him on live stream. It was pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Kean just answered. He plays for Vicenza regularly, but doesn't always start.
Yeah, should we see Vicenza, the Rangers, but the point is this: let's see how he's gonna be managed next year. If he's gonna play, if he's gonna be sent somewhere else again, if he's gonna be part of the process with Ferrari, Zilocchi, Gallorini, and Genovese. Who knows? But also having those four together and fighting for a position in some moments of the season would be interesting.
For sure.
If Benetton will start improving more on playing a young player instead of foreigners, I'm happy with that. They're cheaper for sure, and you give more to the movement.
the long term, it benefits everyone.
Which is fantastic. If you think, look at this season, how good was seeing Favoretto that has always been involved. He should have played Enzo Vaga. Look, another one. He always been involved all the season. Maybe not too much, like 4 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes, instead of those 20 minutes, 40 minutes as a lock. But he grew up a lot. San Andrea start understanding more how the level is, how the intensity are.
That is the formative part of their career now. It's where they form their ability to move up, and the more exposure they get, the better.
So let's see, Mike, because it's interesting to see, also start listening more McRae talking and Pavanello about the vision for the next years, the vision with McRae, because that is the point. Now there's a new cycle open with a new head coach, and maybe something will change. Last but not least, Giulio Bergamaschi, the scrum coach of Zebra, is leaving to Stade Nicois, so to Nice, next season, and I have no idea, Mike, who can be the next scrum coach for Italy.
It's got to be a federal hire, I think.
But I want to understand who. Can be somebody from the women's team, so Plinio Shamanna, can be.
What about I know obviously he's doing the women's rugby at
Santa Maria.
Zani.
Zani.
Like that.
Zani,
so
straight up.
I'm trying to think who has experience of modern set pieces if he's going to be a scrum coach, right?
I really don't know, Mike. Honestly, I don't know who can be the guy in charge of it.
Yeah. Dream coach Adam Jones. That is a dream. Keep dreaming. It's not happening.
So, answering Passerella before wrapping up, as so he's gonna have a central role in a better team than Mogliano. So he's gonna have another step forward in his career if we look at him as a prospect in the Serie A elite that was really good during the under 20s. So probably he can be a URC prospect if he's gonna play well next year. Next year will be key to try to stay, and I don't know how long is the contract with Benetton. Even if it's under Benetton rider, I don't know how long they want to keep it in that way, because if not, the risk is gonna stay in the Serie A elite.
And I'll sort of just couple that with I think there's still a lot of potential in that young man. So let's see. Not it doesn't have to happen all the time straight away like it did with some of the other players, like Lorenzo Cannone or like Menoncello. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, and he's clearly got something because he's been brilliant for the age grade. So fingers crossed we see more of him.
Fingers crossed. Mike, next week we'll be here talking about the URC again. 2 games. Who knows what's gonna happen to Leinster, right?
Mate, it's easy to win. The scenes. We'll see Josh storm Dublin. It's just get indicted.
But on the other side, then let's see what's gonna be how Treviso wants this playoff, because that is probably another final. But let's see. Thank you everyone to stay with us tonight. You can re-listen Fratelli Rugby on every platform. Drop us a like on YouTube, X, Instagram, wherever you want. Mike, buonanotte and see you next week.
Buonanotte, ciao.
Ciao.